Let's go Eagles! Things are heating up behind the scenes at the Eagles because the playoffs are approaching and we're all eager to see our beloved team competing in the Super Bowl once again. If you love the Philadelphia Eagles and are a true fan, hit the like button hard and right. Go Eagles! Nothing will stop us. With just a few days until the start of the playoffs, Nick Sirianni's decision to rest his starters in the last game of the regular season is causing a stir among Eagles fans, and rightly so. At first glance, it may seem like a missed opportunity to climb the playoff standings, but upon closer analysis, it could be one of the smartest moves the team has made all year. Let's understand why this last-minute change could be exactly the boost the Eagles need to enter a crucial phase of the playoffs, and why there's a catch that fans shouldn't ignore. The Eagles, having already clinched the NFC East and not fully in control of their playoff seeding, thanks to needing a Bears loss to jump to the number 2 seed, chose to take their fate into their own hands by focusing on what they can control, player health. Sirianni's approach, backed by key voices in the locker room like Jordan Mailata, is rooted in the belief that the mental and physical toll of a full 18-week regular season needs to be respected, especially for a veteran-heavy, battered roster like this one. Mailata made a strong case for this rest approach earlier this week. Speaking candidly, he highlighted how the mental stress of preparing for a game each week is often overlooked, and that this break serves as a crucial decompression period for players, not just physically, but mentally too. It's the biggest advantage possible, Mailata said, and when you hear it coming from a guy who's been in the trenches every week, it hits different, and he's not wrong. The Eagles' offensive line, long heralded as one of the best in the league, hasn't quite lived up to that standard this season. Whether it's due to injuries or sheer wear and tear, the unit coached by Jeff Stoutland has looked more vulnerable than usual. Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens have been playing through injuries nearly all season, and Lane Johnson's extended absence only exacerbated the situation. Sirianni's choice to sit these guys, letting them breathe and heal, could mean everything once the postseason gets underway. Because let's be honest, if you don't have a healthy offensive line, you're not going far in the playoffs. The Eagles have seen that firsthand, and considering that Jurgens currently ranks dead last in the NFL among centers in blown block rate on run plays, according to Shane Haff, that's not just a minor footnote, it's a red flag. There's legitimate debate about whether Brett Toth should start over Jurgens in the playoffs, and while that's unlikely to happen due to contract and experience, it shows how shaky things have become in the interior of this line. This rest week could be a rare lifeline for a unit on the ropes. But as important as physical recovery is, the mental reset might be even more critical. The offensive scheme has been inconsistent, and a lot of that blame is now falling squarely on Kevin Patullo. More and more, fans and analysts are pointing to Patullo as the weakest link in this offensive chain. His predictable run calls, poor play sequencing, and inability to adapt once the team falls behind the sticks have turned into season-long issues. Sirianni, despite backing Patullo publicly, admitted he wasn't satisfied with the second-half play calling against the Bills, subtly suggesting that he might have already started taking more control of the offense behind the scenes. The stats support that narrative. The Eagles are the worst team in the NFL on second and long plays, despite ranking around the league average in how often they face those situations. That's not just a coincidence, that's a schematic problem. Patullo continues to lean on run plays with little regard for the defensive look, and when those runs fail, the team ends up in obvious passing downs where pressure mounts and drive-killing mistakes happen. It's no surprise then that when Sirianni supposedly stepped in during the Raiders and Commanders games a few weeks ago, the offense looked rejuvenated. There was rhythm, balance, and creativity, traits we've barely seen under Patullo's solo stewardship. But just as quickly as things looked fixed, the Eagles fell back into their bad habits in the second half against Buffalo, reigniting concerns about play-calling accountability going into the postseason. That's the catch here. Resting the starters might heal their bodies, but will it fix the play-calling issues that have haunted this team all year? There's one final shot to iron things out, though, even if it's with the backups. This week against the Commanders, the Eagles will rely on their depth, and for fans paying attention, there are some genuinely exciting storylines. Quarterback Tanner McKee is set to make his most meaningful appearance, and rookie running back Tank Bigsby will get a heavy workload. But the name most fans are buzzing about is Darius Cooper. The undrafted rookie wideout from Tarleton State was one of the standouts of training camp and preseason, flashing route-running polish and strong hands. He's had snaps sprinkled throughout the season, but this week will be his first shot to be a featured target. Cooper called it a blessing to finally be able to showcase his skills in a larger role. And you can feel the hunger in his voice when he talks about just wanting to contribute and be a part of something special in Philadelphia. It's exactly the kind of opportunity you hope a young player takes full advantage of. Because if Cooper pops off in this game, and McKee can get into a rhythm, it might shake up the depth chart heading into the playoffs more than we think. These reps matter. These moments build confidence, and confidence is the fuel that drives playoff success. But the playoff hopes of this team still rest on the shoulders of Jalen Hurts, who, despite the noise, has proven himself repeatedly when it matters most. Since 2022, Hurts has compiled nearly 1,900 total yards and 19 touchdowns in 8 playoff games with just 1 interception. He's been elite under the lights, delivering his best when the stakes are highest, something that cannot be overstated. What Hurts brings isn't just stats, it's presence, experience, and leadership. That's something no amount of bad play calling can erase. When he's locked in and healthy, the Eagles are a threat to anyone. Add in playoff-tested veterans across the roster, and you begin to remember why this team was crowned champions just last February. Now, with Lane Johnson, Dallas Goedert, Nakobe Dean, and others expected back soon, and with guys like Jalen Carter working through new injuries, the rest versus rust debate gets a little more complicated. The hope is that this short-term sit-down will result in long-term gain, but that's the gamble. Because if they come out flat in the wild card or divisional round, this conversation will be flipped on its head. So the question now is, was Nick Sirianni right to rest the starters? Or did he just hand momentum away before the most important stretch of the season? Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, if the offensive line comes out of this rest week rejuvenated, and the mental fatigue is truly lifted like Jordan Mailata suggested, then this move by Sirianni could go down as a masterstroke. But if we see the same sluggish, disjointed offense that we saw in the second half against Buffalo, an offense stuck in neutral with ineffective run schemes, poor play sequencing, and an inability to adapt, then this week of rest will feel more like a wasted opportunity than a strategic edge. And to really hammer this home, it's not just about resting bodies, it's about solving real, systemic issues. Because when you dig into the numbers, the offensive regression is deeper than just a tired O-line. The run game, once a strength, has become a liability. The Eagles rank 26th in the NFL in negative run percentage. Over 13% of their runs result in a loss. That's not sustainable in the playoffs. It kills drives, puts them behind schedule, and forces Hurts into obvious passing downs where blitzes and coverage disguises become much harder to beat. So, Eagles fans, here we are. Rest versus rhythm. Trust versus doubt. Coaching versus chaos. Sirianni made his call, and soon we'll find out if it was the right one. If it works, he'll be hailed as a genius. If it doesn't, we'll be talking about this decision all offseason. So, was giving the starters a week off before the playoffs the game-winning strategy or a misstep that costs them momentum when they need it most? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, you're going to want to be along for the ride. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a like if you're riding with the birds through this playoff push, and let me know down in the comments what you think about Sirianni's decision. And if you want more Eagles updates and exclusive insight, click the video on the screen right now, because the latest news always breaks here first.